Hey y'all, Dirty South History, aka Attorney Nassau, just coming back at you. I wanted to give you some quick impressions of my experience in South Africa when I was in law school there. And yeah, I just saw what the president did in the Oval Office with Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa. And I just wanted to give you my impressions from when I was there in the mid 90s, right? And when I happened to be there, they were doing the Truth and Reconciliation hearings, okay? That is the post apartheid hearings that they did for people to come clean and confess their crimes as opposed to being prosecuted and going to prison or even worse for the things that they did during the apartheid era, okay? They televised those things nationally. And there was one case that I will never forget. And I'm not sure if you know what a cattle prod is, but just imagine a taser on steroids. Cattle prods are designed to get cattle to move, okay? And if you can imagine how thick a cowhide is, you have to imagine how strong a cattle prod is. Well, in this particular hearing, a victim, an African man, was testifying before the commission. And he explained that, he was an older gentleman, by the way. He explained that the South African apartheid authorities had scooped him up and taken him to their interrogation room to try to get him to tell them where his son, who was a freedom fighter, where he was. Well, he said he didn't know. So rather than just take his word for it, yeah, they pulled out a cattle prod and they used it on this man, but not just willy-nilly anywhere. They shocked this man in his genitals and in his anus. And the man, I'll never forget, the man was like, as I'm testifying to you now, I'm wearing a diaper because I've lost the use of my bowels. And those were some of the stories that were told when the white South Africans were in power. You have to be really draconian sometimes to maintain power when, you just don't have the votes, okay? So just keep that in mind. By the way, they built something called townships for black people. Once they established these cities, Cape Town and others, what they would do was they'd run the people of color out of those city centers, downtowns, and put them in areas that they could control them. And for my experience in Cape Town, South Africa, they had something called townships. Townships were dedicated to the black African people, okay? And what they did was they would basically put these people in these horrendous areas and basically let them fend for themselves regarding building materials, right? They didn't, like now in America, they built projects out of brick and whatnot. They didn't do that. They just put these people in a land mass and told them to pretty much go for yourself. They did provide electricity for them, but as my recollection is, that's about it. They might have had like a pump for running water, okay? I've been in a house that was built out of cigar boxes, cardboard cigar boxes, okay? And corrugated tin roof, no floor. The floor is dirt, okay? But the funny thing is, even though they would, basically not build houses for them, they did build toilets. They built streets and toilets, right? And what they did was they would build the toilets right in front of the street, right by the street. And these people's houses or whatever were located a fair distance away from those toilets. And when asked why do they have these toilets at the street area, but not in in the homes or near the the townships areas where people were living, we were told that they built the toilets that way so that they could be spied on, so that if they wanted to um, disappear or scoop up somebody, there were a way for them to use the toilet, and the authorities would swoop that person up and terrorize them. Okay? So those are the people that Trump is saying are refugees. Also, I saw a South African, quote unquote, refugee mention that he felt persecuted. And he mentioned that he left a 5-bedroom house in South Africa. Not a refugee camp, not a tent, a 5-bedroom house. So, yeah, just keep that in mind.